Well, welcome everyone to this edition of Stories for Healing. As you know, we are sharing stories for healing from storytellers from around the world in this time of such divisiveness and fear and concern. And, as storytellers, we know that the antidote to that is not to say, this is what you must do, or you shouldn't do this, or I'm right and you're wrong, but it's to hear a story of healing, to hear about how reconciliation actually happens, to hear about all the things that storytellers can do with our world. And so today we're very fortunate. We have a storyteller, Noa Baum, who is with us, and she has a couple of stories to share with us. Noah, please tell us a story.
Hi, thanks so much. It's wonderful to be here with you. I grew up in Israel in the Jewish tradition, so I'd like to share a few very short stories from my Jewish tradition with you. And the first one comes from the Jews of Khalib in Syria. They tell this story about times that were hard, and there was a terrible drought. As is the custom, when there is a drought, there is a special prayer for rain in Jewish liturgy, and the rabbi called all the people to gather in the synagogue to pray for rain. And they prayed and prayed and prayed, and no rain came. And so the rabbi declared a fast. And the people fasted for 3 days, and they prayed and prayed and prayed. No rain came. And then the rabbi had a dream. And in his dream, he heard a voice. The voice said that God will send rain only if Rahamim Chayat will pray for rain. The rabbi woke up confused. Rahamim Chayat sat at the back of the synagogue in the corner. He doesn't know how to read. How can he pray for rain? But he didn't have any other ideas, and he didn't have any other choice. The rabbi decided to listen to his dream. Next day, he calls all the people to gather once again and pray for rain. And the people gather and they wait for the rabbi to step up on the bima. That's the elevated space in the middle of the synagogue up front where the leader leads the prayers. It is right in front of Aron HaKodesh, the cabinet that holds the scrolls, the holy cabinet, the holy ark. It holds the Torah scrolls, the scriptures, what we call the Old Testament. Well, that is the custom, and everyone is waiting. But the rabbi is not stepping up on the bima before Aron HaKodesh, before the holy cabinet. The rabbi is sitting amongst them, waiting. The people look at each other, they look at the rabbi. Suddenly the rabbi stands up and he calls forth, Ya'aleh v'yavo, come forth and pray in the name of the people. Rahamim Chayat. Rachamim, in his usual place at the back of the synagogue in the corner, looks up. He is being called up to the bima to pray before the holy ark. Must be some mistake. Trembling, he comes forth and he leans down and he whispers in the rabbi's ear, Rabbi, I don't read. Please, don't shame me. But the rabbi said, Rahamim, today you are shliach tzibur. You are the representative of the congregation. It is you who must pray for us. Mortified, Rachamim looks around. All eyes are upon him. And so he quietly asks the rabbi permission to go get something that he needs to be able to pray. And he quickly leaves the synagogue, and soon he returns with a clay jar. A clay jar that has two spouts. And still trembling, he steps up on the bima. He faces the congregation and he says, I ask that you all pray with all your hearts. And then, as is the custom, all rise to face Aron HaKodesh, the holy cabinet. Rachamim himself, he turns his back to the congregation and he too faces the ark, and they all sing the appropriate verses for this moment when the ark is opened to reveal the Torah scrolls, the scrolls of the Holy Scriptures. And then it is time for the leader to lead the prayer for rain, usually the rabbi. Now it's Rachamim. He's standing there. All is quiet. And then he lifts up that clay jar and he speaks. Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, I don't know how to read. I'm a poor man, it is hard. Sometimes I can't feed my children. And when they are hungry, they cry. And when they cry, it breaks my heart, and I cry too. And I collect my tears in this jar. Ribono shel olam, it is all I have. I asked my wife to bury me with this jar, but today I bring it before you. If these tears, if this jar is not enough, I will break it right here, now, before all the people. And at that moment there was a flash of lightning and a crash of thunder, and rain began to fall. And when it was time for Rachamim to join his ancestors many years later, he was buried with that jar of tears. Here's another story. This one also comes from the Middle East. There was a man, Nabek, and he had a horse that was the envy of all the tribes of the desert. Oh, it was a magnificent horse, the likes of which you've never seen. It was magnificent and supple and strong, and it was faster than the wind. All the tribes envied Nabek for that magnificent horse, but his neighbor, Dager, wanted it. He really wanted it. He came to his neighbor with an offer. Nabek, I will give you 5 of my horses for that one horse. But Nabek said, no, I'm not selling my horse. Dager came another day. I will give you all my horses and all my camels for the one horse. Nabek said, I'm not selling the horse. Dager wanted that horse. He wanted that horse so much. That desire was burning inside him. He came to Nabek once again. He said, I will give you all I own. I will give you all my sheep, all my horses, all my camels, just for that one horse. Nabek said, my friend, for all the gold in the world, I'm not selling the horse. Dager wanted that horse. The desire for that horse consumed every waking moment, and he could not sleep. He could not eat. He could not drink. He wanted that horse, and he decided if Nabek will not listen to reason, he will get it. He will get it by other means. And so he disguised himself as a poor beggar. He sullied his face. He put the kafia, the headdress, low on his face so he wouldn't easily be recognized. And with torn, dirty clothes, he sat by the side of the road on the way to market. And sure enough, Nabek came upon that magnificent horse as he did every day. And as he approached close, Dager put out his hand and started calling, help, I'm so hungry, have not eaten in many days, help. Well, instantly, Nabek stopped and said, come upon my horse, I'll take you to the market, we'll find something for you to eat. But the beggar said, I'm too weak, I cannot climb on the horse by myself. Without a thought, Nabek jumped off his horse and helped the poor beggar sit upon it. And the minute he sat upon it, Dager grabbed the reins and lit off, and the kafia fell off his head, and Nabek recognized his neighbor. He called out, Dager, stop! I just have one request. The horse is yours by Allah. Just one request, please. Dagger stopped. He turned around. He knew that upon this horse, no one living could ever catch him. And Nabek said, the horse is yours. Just do me one favor. Please don't tell anyone how you came to obtain it. Why not? Because if people find out, they will become fearful. They will never again stop to help a poor beggar by the side of the road. If such a story comes out, it will bring evil. It will cause compassion to leave this earth. Dagger was quiet. He listened. And then slowly he got off that horse. He led it to its rightful owner and fell on his knees before him to ask forgiveness. Nabek helped lift him up from his knees. They went together to Nabek's tent. They drank, they ate, and they signed a pact of friendship that lasted forever and a day. I heard that story from a wonderful Israeli storyteller by the name of Yoel Peretz. And it is from a sect within Judaism called the Karaim, the Karaites. And I'd like to end with a story from Eastern Europe, a story that is very dear to my heart and that has helped me many a time. They say that in every generation there are dark times when hope threatens to leave this world. And it is told that at such dark times, Rabbi Israel ben Eliezer, known as the Holy Baal Shem Tov, he, the master of the good name, the rabbi, the mystic, the healer, it is told that when such times arrived, the Baal Shem Tov would go to a secret place in the forest, would light a special fire, and utter a prayer that said the most sacred name of the divine that usually is not uttered by humans, but Rabbi Israel ben Eliezer, the Baal Shem Tov, he knew that prayer. And the danger would be averted. The darkness would lift. Hope remained in the world. Many years later, one of his disciples, Rabbi Dov Ber, the Maggid of Mezritz, came upon dark times. And he made his way to that place in the forest. And he lifted his eyes to the heavens and he said, Ribono shel Olam, Master of the universe, I don't know how to light that special fire, but I can say the words to that prayer. Please let that be enough. And it was. The danger was averted. Hope remained in the world. Many years later, one of his descendants, Moshe Leib of Sassov, came to lead the people, and times were dark. He made his way to that place in the forest. He lifted his eyes to the heavens. He said, Ribono shel Olam, Master of the universe, I don't know how to light that fire. No one remembers the words to that prayer, but I found my way to this place. Let that be enough. And it was. Hope remained in the world. And many years later, Rabbi Israel of Ritzin was sitting in his study with his head in his hands. Ribono shel Olam, he said, times are hard. And no one knows how to light that fire. And no one remembers the words to that prayer, and we can no longer find our way to that special place in the forest. But we can tell the story. Please let that be enough. And it was. And it still is. For as long as stories are told, hope remains in this world. Thank you for listening. I hope you continue to tell your stories and the stories of others.
Oh, Noah, thank you. Thank you so much. Three beautiful stories and three wonderful tellings.
Mhm.
And the first story, it struck me. It's not from the Hasidic tradition, but it carries the same values of if we don't need to know exactly what to do or what to say, we just have to speak from our hearts. And a beautiful story. Where did you first encounter that one?
I don't know. I think it's somewhere. I read it in one of the collections from the Israeli folklore archive,
Yeah, yeah.
of Nova
Okay.
Archive in Haifa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of the stories that are passed on in the oral tradition.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, I've never told it. This was the first time I've told it.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're doubly blessed.
But it's a
Thank you.
story that I've always loved,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
interesting, that the Hasidic mindset, if you
Mm,
will, is not limited to the Jews of Eastern Europe.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the Jews in Arab countries and in North Africa,
Yes,
that tradition carries a lot of the same values.
yes. And I also just want to comment that in the story you told from the Arab world, you use the name Allah for God, which is, of course, what they would do.
Right,
It's
but the Karaim are actually Jews.
yes, but the
Allah
word
is the yeah, Allah is just the
is
name of God in Arabic. Yeah.
that's what, exactly, and I love that little bit of that's another teaching moment.
Well, it's
Just
not a
as
different God.
no, it's not. It's not. It
It's the
is the
same
God,
God, it's just a different name.
different name, and we use the language of the world we're in and the culture we're in, and so sure.
One of the things that moves me the most about that story from Syria is that, when times are so difficult and when we are faced with things that are so beyond our control, like rain, right? And we can think of a myriad things that are beyond our control in this life. The only thing we can really offer is our tears, is our compassion, is our participation in the pain.
Hmm.
And, it may feel like we can't do anything because we can't fix it, but actually, by offering that to each other, we can offer a lot of healing.
Yes, as you can see, friends, these stories really can be quite healing, and we don't have to be an expert storyteller to tell them. We have to speak um, as the old man did from our heart about what's important to us, what drives us, what our needs are. And I think when we all start to share that, then we'll find ourselves on very common ground. And we can share those stories of hope and pain and a belief that the world really can be a better place. So join us twice a day at 2:30 in the afternoon and 8 in the evening Eastern Time on Facebook Live. And also go over to the YouTube channel where all these are collected on a playlist and share them with others. Come back and listen over and over again and tell your stories to each other. Thank you and goodbye.